Daily complaining from Darrell Brooks Jr. while incarcerated. How's it going, everyone? This is Christian Duke. You're watching Everything Else Channel on YouTube, everythingelsechannel.com. This was a comment left on the Sight Sounds Flavors YouTube channel, where you'll also find Darrell Brooks Jr. Waukesha Christmas Parade trial and trials and characters and others as well over there. This comment was from a lady that said she's friends with a nurse that works in the facility where Darrell Brooks Jr. is being held, and that he complains daily over ailment after ailment after ailment. And it's very interesting why he would be doing that. And I would like to encourage folks in the audience that maybe have been incarcerated, maybe have worked in a penal facility, whether it's a prison, a jail, a work camp, whatever, because I feel that if you, it's kind of like when you're in school. When you're in school, when I was in high school and I didn't want to be in class, or I just felt some kind of way, I know I'm going to incriminate myself. I would lie and say I didn't feel well, and I felt just fine. I just didn't want to be in the classroom. And if you don't feel well, especially if there's not a test, there's not an assignment due, it's just any old regular day, you're more believable. You know what I mean? It's like, why does you want to get out of class? I mean, like, there's nothing going on in class that, you know what I mean? So you go to the nurse's office, and whether it was at Monsignor Edward Pace or it was North Miami Beach Senior High, whichever one of the two it was, I would go and I would basically go to the nurse's office, and they had couches, they were beds. They were like hospital beds, but they were a heck of a lot more comfortable than hospital beds. And they were almost like couches, I remember. And even though they can't give you any medication because it is the nurse's office, it's not an actual nurse. And even if it was an actual nurse, you're a minor, so they can't give you medication without asking, your parents' consent. But what they would do is they give you some water. They would tell you, take a little break here. I remember the nurse's office was always a little bit cooler than the other offices. Not cooler in the sense that it was hipper, but it was hipper, but it was cooler in the sense that it was colder. And that was kind of cool, especially in Florida, because it can never be too cold for Florida, seeing as it's 90 degrees and sticky, humid, and the clothes sticks to you when you're sweaty, and it's disgusting. So most of the classrooms were probably 75, while the clinic was 70. Yeah, I mean, it was great. And I'll get back to Darrell Brooks here, that loser, in a second. But what I was trying to say is, a lot of times, most of the times, I wasn't sick. If I was sick, I wasn't in school, you know what I mean? But a lot of times I just didn't want to be in the classroom, or I didn't want to be in gym, or I didn't want to be wherever, and I'd go there and I'd be able to stay there for an hour. And you're supposed to stay there 20 minutes, but I was pretty cool with the nurse. I liked her. She was real nice. We used to chit chat, and so I'd stay an hour. And hey, it's excused, So I mean, it's perfect. It's awesome. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe it's the same thing in prison. Maybe you go to medical, maybe you can see the color TV, maybe you can get the obscure Jello. Maybe you can get the ability to kick your feet off, not your feet off, that would be bad, kick your shoes off your feet. Maybe it's a change of scenery at the very least. It's, something different, you know what I mean? Now the viewer also said that Darrell, in addition to complaining about something every day, is also which is not surprising at all. But you can't cure that, right? I don't think so. But the reality of the matter is that it would be interesting, especially if he's in solitary or segregation, which a lot of people have said he is. That there's no way that Darrell Brooks Jr. would be in Gen Pop. From what I've been told, I don't know, but he would be a high-profile inmate. And I think that, given the gravity of what he did, and given that he did it in a state that he's incarcerated in, there's probably a lot of people that want to do him physical harm. So I can't imagine him being in general population. If he is, maybe he is in Gen Pop, but under special security guidelines. I don't know. Look at what happened to Larry Nassar, or whatever his name is, that gymnastics coach monster. He just got stabbed. You know what I mean? And he was in Gen Pop. Look at what happened to Whitey Bulger. I think Whitey Bulger may not have even been in Gen Pop. I think he might have been in segregation, and he got killed in prison. So the reality of the matter is that I don't think that the state of Wisconsin wants to look stupid in front of the rest of the country and the world if something were to happen to Darrell Brooks Jr., because it would have happened on their watch. So I'm sure that even though he doesn't deserve the security because he's a monster, he really is a monster. He killed 6 people. He maimed and seriously injured upwards of 60, 70, 80 people. He wreaked havoc on a community. And then during the trial, he made a mockery of the victims' impact statements. He's a monster. So he's a certifiable monster. But the thing is, you know, he's a high-profile inmate, and Wisconsin cannot look stupid in front of the rest of the country, and especially, you know, all around the world, because everybody would say, what kind of, you know, what is this, you know? And so I'm assuming that he would be in some sort of segregation, you know, some sort of isolation probably. In a lot of facilities, you know, there is no, you know, PC unit, you know what I mean? It's just, you're basically in solitude, you know, in solitary. And that is what it is. So if going to the medical unit gives him a change of scenery, I could definitely see the truth in this viewer's comment, who also says that she or he, I couldn't tell if it was a gentleman or a lady, but he or she is friends with a nurse in the facility where Darrell Brooks is being held. And I hope that there's more than one nurse so that I'm not putting anybody in a bad spot. But again, I don't know names. I don't even know the name of the viewer. Sorry about that. I've got to start erasing old videos on my phone, because this is what I primarily use to make my videos unless I'm in my studio. And so my phone gets full. I got 256 gigs on this phone and it still gets full. Can you imagine that? But as I said, I didn't give the names of anybody. So, not that I had the names to begin with, but, you know, I suspect that, you know, over the years, a lot more nurses and COs and prison staff will start leaking out stuff to their friends, and their friends, everybody's on YouTube now. So we're going to probably get a lot more insights about Darrell Brooks Jr. and what's actually going on with him. But, you know, like I said, Wisconsin can't afford to look stupid if something should happen to this guy. And so they're, you know, they're definitely, I think they're definitely making sure that he's secure. But I could totally see him faking a bunch of illnesses to go to the medical unit. And maybe that's really the only, you know, downtime he's got, you know, the only interest. I don't know. Who knows? And what could he possibly be? What ailments, you know, like cold, flu. I mean, we saw what he did with the COVID virus during the trial. He didn't want to get tested for a second time, even though there's a rapid test available. He was using that as a pretext to stall the proceedings. And, you know, I could see him filing all sorts of, you know, lawsuits against pretty much everybody in the facility, you know, wasting the taxpayers' dollars. I mean, this guy's going to be expensive. This guy's going to be a pain in the butt. And this guy's just going to be plain rude and nasty to anybody he comes into contact with. And fortunately for him, unfortunately for us, the world, is that he's not going to probably come into contact with any hardened criminals, gang bangers, gang leaders. He's going to come across people just trying to make a living, you know, nurses and COs and prison staff and wardens and assistant wardens and psychologists and, you know, people like that. And he's going to be rude to every last one of them. You know what I mean? And if they're women, if they're like Sue Opper, if they're smart, if they're independent, if they're driven, he's going to really be mean to them. I mean, you saw how he was to Sue Opper. So in any event, I hope that you like, comment, and subscribe here at the Everything Else channel on YouTube, everythingelschannel.com. If you want to tell folks about this channel, all you got to do is tell them, hey, type in everythingelschannel.com, hit enter. It'll take you to the landing page of the Everything Else channel here on YouTube. You can like, you can comment. Please, if you subscribe, ring the bell for notifications so you won't miss a single video. And also check out the Sight Sounds Flavors YouTube channel, sightsoundsflavors.com, exploringkentucky.com. Peace.